Good evening, everyone east of the Mississippi River, and good afternoon to everyone west of the Mississippi River. So good to have you with me here on this edition of BETHEA'S BYTE Reloaded. I'm Ernest Bethea, the last outlaw. We've got so much to get to, but before we do that, I want to start off, as always, with our missing persons update. Let me get your screen set, and I want you to take a look at this little cutie right here. This is Vanessa Morales. Vanessa Morales is currently 5 years old, but she was, when she disappeared, she was only 1 year old. At the time of Vanessa's disappearance, she stood about 2 feet 2 inches tongue-tied. She stood about 2 feet 2 inches tall, weighed around 17 pounds, with brown hair and brown eyes. Law enforcement officials are searching for Vanessa Morales from Ansonia, Connecticut, after finding her mother deceased in their home on December 2nd, 2019. Vanessa was last seen by family members on Friday, November 29th, 2019. If you have any information concerning this case, you are asked, first off, you are asked not to hesitate. You are asked to contact the FBI New Haven hotline at area code 203-503-5555 or the Ansonia Police Department at 203-735-1885. Also, you can submit your tip online at tips.fbi.gov. Just remember, though, if you see something, say something. The mission here is to bring little Vanessa home safe. So, Ansonia, New Haven area, we need your help. Let's find little Vanessa and bring her home, right? All right, like I said, we got so much to cover this week. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with an update on the pregnant niece murder trial. That's coming out of Florida. Florida versus Johnathan Quiles. Hey, here's your screen. I've got video forthcoming, so just hang tight. All right, before we get to the video, I want to bring this before you. A Florida jury deliberated for a little more than an hour before deciding not to sentence a man to the death penalty after he was convicted of murdering his pregnant 16-year-old niece. 38-year-old Johnathan Quiles was accused in the presumed death of Ayanna Sawyer and her unborn child. Sawyer was last seen on December 19, 2018. Prosecutors said that day Sawyer left her high school and went to a salvage yard where her uncle worked. She was 5 months pregnant, and her remains have not been found. Investigators said that Quiles was the father of Sawyer's child. It took the jury less than 1 hour to convict Quiles on all charges in the initial trial and nearly an hour and 15 minutes in the penalty phase. At Quiles' trial, which began on September 14th, multiple witnesses testified to the alleged relationship between the defendant and his niece. Sawyer's grandmother, Winella Haynes, testified she saw them in a full embrace during Thanksgiving 2018. That's according to WJXT. Sawyer's sister testified she witnessed inappropriate touching, kissing, and sexual encounters. She also reportedly claimed Quiles wanted Sawyer to get an abortion. Prosecutors introduced wiretap conversations between the defendant and others in jail after he was charged with Ayanna's murder, as well as testimony from jailhouse informants who said Quiles confessed to them. Quiles' defense claims Sawyer may still be alive, and there is no crime scene or DNA evidence that ties their client to the alleged crime. He was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of sexual battery. Quiles faced a potential death sentence for the murders of both Sawyer and her unborn child. The jury deliberated for more than an hour before recommending a sentence of life without the possibility of parole on both murder counts. Attorneys will meet on Thursday afternoon at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time to discuss the sentencing date and who may testify. The judge plans to schedule a date for next week, if possible. So there you go with that, but here's what we're talking about.
State of Florida versus Johnathan Quiles in 19 CF 7518, Division CRI, verdict as to sentence in count 1. We, the jury, find as follows as to the defendant, Johnathan Quiles, in this case. A, aggravating factors. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has proven the following aggravating factors beyond a reasonable doubt as to defendant Johnathan Quiles in this case. 1, Johnathan Quiles was previously convicted of a capital felony or a felony involving the use or threat of violence to another person. Answer, no. 2, the first-degree murder was committed for the purpose of avoiding or preventing a lawful arrest. Answer, yes. Number 3, the first-degree murder was especially heinous, atrocious, or cruel. Answer, no. 4, the first-degree murder was committed in a cold, calculated, and premeditated manner without any pretense of moral or legal justification. Answer, yes. 5, IS was particularly vulnerable because Johnathan Quiles stood in a position of familial or custodial authority over IS. Answer, yes. We, the jury, have unanimously found that the state has proved one or more aggravating factors. Each of us has considered whether one or more mitigating circumstances exist. Each of us has weighed whether the proven aggravating factors are sufficient and whether the proven aggravating factors outweigh any proven mitigating circumstances. We have further considered whether Johnathan Quiles should be sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole or death. We, the jury, find Johnathan Quiles should be sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Signed and dated by the foreperson. As to count 2, we, the jury, find as follows as to the defendant, Johnathan Quiles, in this case. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has proven the following aggravating factors beyond a reasonable doubt as to the defendant, Johnathan Quiles, in this case. 1, Johnathan Quiles was previously convicted of a capital felony or felony involving the use or threat of violence to another person. Answer, no. Number 2, the first-degree murder was committed for the purpose of avoiding or preventing a lawful arrest. Answer, yes. Number 3, the first-degree murder was committed in a cold, calculated, and premeditated manner without any pretense of moral or legal justification. Answer, yes. The unborn child of IS was a person less than 12 years of age. Answer, yes. Number 5, the unborn child of IS was particularly vulnerable because Johnathan Quiles stood in a position of familial or custodial authority over the unborn child of IS. Answer, no. We, the jury, have unanimously found the state proved one or more aggravating factors. Each of us has considered whether one or more mitigating circumstances exist. Each of us has weighed whether the proven aggravating factors are sufficient and whether the proven aggravating factors outweigh any proven mitigating circumstances. We have further considered whether Johnathan Quiles should be sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole or death. We, the jury, find Johnathan Quiles should be sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Signed and dated by the foreperson. Mr. Quiles, you may have a seat with your attorney.
And there you have it. Johnathan Quiles has been found guilty, and the jury recommends a sentence of life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. We'll find out what the judge will do when that time comes. Next, this is a crazy case. An Iowa man disappears the day after the day the jury finds him. Thank you, Still in Leather. Still in Leather knows I would normally put out my fair use my fair use tags or my trigger warnings, whatever the case may be. And I want to thank him for calling me out on that. So give me just a minute, just for future videos that'll come up. Yeah. And I'm getting hung up. So anyway. I'm glad you're watching. How you doing, Sav? It's been a minute. All right. All right, here we go. Okay. For future videos, here is the old fair use disclaimer. All right. Now, getting back to the story I'm covering, I said this one is kind of strange to me. A man was on trial for murder, and he didn't show up for the jury's verdict, which, by the way, he was found guilty. Here's the whole thing. An Iowa man who failed to show up for the guilty verdict at his murder trial has been found and taken into custody, state officials announced on this past Saturday. In a brief statement, the Iowa Department of Public Safety thanked everyone who provided information that led to the arrest of Gregory Showalter Sr. of Ottumwa, and said more details will be released later. The statement did not provide any additional information about Showalter's arrest or how or where authorities found him. A judge issued an arrest warrant for Showalter after he missed the reading of the jury verdict on the Friday before. That's according to the Ottumwa Courier. He was convicted of killing his wife, 60-year-old Helen Showalter. 63-year-old Greg Showalter had been out on bail since August of 2021, when a judge allowed him to post 10% of his $250,000 bond as long as he attended court hearings and wore a GPS monitor. And take a look right here. This is Showalter. Prosecutors argued that Showalter strangled his wife on July 31st, 2021, then dumped her body along the Des Moines River near Ottumwa. Her body was found floating in the river the next morning. Defense attorney Robert Breckenridge argued that state's investigation relied on assumptions and that some evidence was not tested. The jurors reached a verdict just after 1:00 p.m. that Friday, and Showalter's lawyer said he called his client and told him to come to Wapello County Courthouse. When Showalter didn't arrive, his attorney contacted the judge as well as officers who checked his home. While police searched for Showalter, the judge ordered that the verdict be read, citing Iowa court rules in cases where a person on trial is voluntarily absent. Otama Police Lieutenant Jason Bell said when police went to Showalter's home, a friend was outside and a friend who was outside said Showalter had given her keys to his vehicle and made a comment about not needing those keys anymore. The woman said she thought he was going to walk to the courthouse and didn't know where he had gone. Police said Showalter's cell phone had been turned off about 1:30 in the afternoon and that he had cut off his GPS monitor. Showalter's sentencing hearing is scheduled for October 16th. In Iowa, first-degree murder carries a mandatory term of life in prison without the possibility of parole. So basically, Showalter's already done. Showalter's already a done deal, and I'm gonna follow up on the 16th to find out exactly what his actual sentence is going to be. Now, before I go any further, Still in Leather, let me know that I was sent an email, and I'm gonna read that email out to you. It just says, "Hi there. I am assisting in the organization of a new movement. This is a multinational movement already with the UK, Australia, Canada, and the US represented and on board. This has to do with the doxing, bullying, and harassment and fake accounts that are going on all streaming services. YouTube, Rumble, Locals, Twitch, etc. needs to be held accountable for not dealing appropriately with these situations. We're calling this hashtag Say No. Sav and I are setting up a Discord server for this. We would like to work on a group chat to get some major input. Anonymity will be crucial. We have a list of people that we really would like to be on board for this. These include I'm shouting everybody out on this that I'm naming. Queen Bee, Whispers, Headstones, Deets, Grandma Sherry, Nunya, Gina Diamond, Liplock, Mel's Pandora, Tiger Talks, Brittany J, what's up, Britt? Heels, and more. I'm giving you the heads up that we are working on this. We need the heavyweights. If you get where I'm coming from. Mel's Pandora had an amazing live last night for only her 4th stream. Our Gina Diamond went up on panel and had an absolutely freaking fantastic discussion with Blind. It was certainly one of the most respectful chats, panels, and streams I have been a part of. I can hardly believe it. If you only go to the last 10 or 15 minutes of the stream, that I will link, you will understand. I really do hope that we can bring this to the world's attention at a higher level. YouTube, Rumbles, Locals, Twitch, TikTok, etc. also needs to be held accountable. Either myself or Sav will get a hold of you to let you know how things are progressing. We want to set up a private, closed live to get inputted into this. Sav mentioned a monetized platform where the proceeds go to legal fees, charities, etc. Anyways, that's enough for the moment. Feel free to contact me anytime. I will keep you posted, and Lord, I hope you will be on board. Oh, by the way, I am a Wispy, Gina, and Mel mod. And here's the link to Mel's live. The last half hour, 45 minutes are the most important. Above is the link from when Sav joins the panel. Was frankly trying to get her on before the live ended. Please, this is important and we need you. Thanks, and you can vet me, by the way. Take care, and please, if nothing else, just even answering me with one word. You know what? I gotta agree with what is said in chat about this, about the whole say no thing. I have seen many a good creator / streamer and It's really, really bothersome when they're doing all they're doing in this community of true crime, following cases and doing our due diligence to follow the cases along, all the way from, as the great Vinnie Politan would go, from victim all the way to verdict. And what do we do? What do we get instead? We get a whole lot of bullying, doxing, this, that, and the third, and it's unnecessary. So, still in leather, Sav, if you're within earshot of my voice and you're within eyeshot of this live stream, you said you wanted an answer in one word. I'm gonna give it to you. Matt, actually, I'm gonna give it to you in 2 words. I'm in. We gotta shut all that down now. There's no room for it. Now, let me move onward from that and go to the next case. Oh yeah. The House of Horrors murder trial, with arguably with a woman I gotta say arguably has the coolest name for a criminal defendant. That being Taylor Schabusiness. Give me 1 minute, and what in the... Oh boy. All right. So I need to reshare this again. Reshare the screen. And once I do that, I can get you right into what came next after Schabusiness was already convicted of murder. Okay, let's see. You got it. You got it. Bang. Please knock it out, get it out of the way. You are just fine. You are just fine on that. So you now have an ally in this. Let me go back and share this screen again for the latest update on Taylor Schabusiness. There we go. All right. Here's the latest. A Wisconsin woman convicted of killing and dismembering her sexual partner while high on drugs was sentenced to life in prison without parole after a jury rejected the defense's claim that she was suffering from mental illness at the time. Taylor Schabusiness was found guilty on all counts during the first phase of her trial. During the second phase, or responsibility phase, the jury returned a unanimous verdict finding that she did not have a mental disease or defect at the time of her murder. The 25-year-old was charged with first-degree intentional homicide, mutilating a corpse, and third-degree sexual assault in the February 2022 death of Shad Ferian. She pled not guilty by reason of insanity. Authorities said Schabusiness strangled Ferian with a chain during sex while they were high on methamphetamine. In police interviews admitted as trial evidence, she then admitted to sexually assaulting and dismembering his corpse. Attorneys for Schabusiness sought to have her statements at the time of her arrest thrown out, arguing she was under the influence of drugs. In June, a judge denied a defense motion to drop the sexual assault charge based on the idea that the victim was dead and his member had been dismembered. Prior to the trial, a judge approved a second competency hearing for Schabusiness after the defense argued the initial evaluation completed in November of 2022 is no longer current. Her defense claims she may have been suffering from a mental breakdown or other mental defect before and after the alleged incident on February 23rd, 2022. On July 13th, a judge heard testimony from forensic psychologist Dr. Diane Linton. Dr. Linton testified Schabusiness showed signs of an active psychotic disorder and was not competent for trial. Before jury selection was scheduled to begin on July 21st, court-ordered psychologist Dr. Matthew Seipel testified that Schabusiness was competent to stand trial. The judge ultimately found that the defendant was competent and proceeded with jury selection. At sentencing on September 26, the judge sentenced Schabusiness to life in prison without the possibility of parole, plus 10 and a half years, which will run consecutively. Ladies and gentlemen, that's justice served. She may have the coolest name as a criminal defendant, but still, she goes down just like every other criminal defendant that's found guilty for a charge as severe as what she's facing. All right, now a case that's already been bugging me since I first heard about it. This case is new. Come on. Load it on up. There you go. All right. Before I go into the article, I want you to see this video courtesy of my good friends at Court TV, preferably from my main man, 50 Grand, Mr. Closing Arguments himself, Benny Politan. So, if I can, let's see, do I have it copied? Nope. There we go. That'll do it.
I'm Vinny Politan. Thanks so much for joining us here on Closing Arguments. If you're just listening to me and you're not watching the screen, you need to watch the screen right now. I'm about to show you a video that is extremely disturbing. I will not show you the whole video, but let me describe first what you're about to see. Two teenagers driving in a car, have a cell phone, and they're recording what they're doing in the car. And apparently they're driving around Vegas in the area and striking pedestrians and people on the street. The video you're about to see, there's a man on a bicycle, retired police chief. He's going for a ride. You'll hear these two teenage boys talk about what they're going to do, and then they do it. We won't show the actual contact. We'll take you right up to the moment, and then we'll cut it off, and then I'll tell you what happened next. But first, let's watch this video, courtesy of TMZ.
Ready? Yeah. Hit his ass.
They killed him. They killed him. Flipped over the car, ended up behind him. And what was the reaction inside the car? Oh, let's continue to record this on video. And then what should we do with the video? Maybe we should post it on social media. Maybe we'll get some likes and some followers and some subs. This is sick stuff. Absolutely sick. We have more details tonight from Scripps News, Las Vegas.
Metro Police say 64-year-old Andreas Probst was riding his bike in this lane on the morning of August 14th when two teenagers deliberately plowed into him. The passenger in that car recorded the entire attack, and on Tuesday night, Metro Police announced both he and the driver are in custody.
A cowardly act that in my 22 years of law enforcement left me personally appalled.
That's how LVMPD Deputy Chief Nick Farisi describes the killing of Andreas Probst. According to police, 64-year-old Probst was on his morning bike ride near Tenaya Way and Centennial Parkway on August 14th when two teenagers in a car encouraged each other to drive into him from behind.
Two juveniles joyriding in a car, intentionally hitting and killing an innocent man who was riding a bicycle and leaving him for dead along the side of a road.
The teen in the passenger seat recorded the entire encounter and posted it. That video went viral and has now received more than 5 million views on social media. It's shot from the front seat of a stolen car and shows the teens driving along, approaching Probst as he's riding his bicycle. The driver then pulls into the bike lane behind him, honks his horn, and smashes directly into his back tire. The impact sent Probst flying and left him lying helplessly on the side of the road. He died hours later at UMC. In the recording, the teens could be heard laughing and seemingly celebrating that they had knocked him out.
Later on that morning, the driver of the vehicle that struck Mr. Probst was taken into custody, and he was booked into charges related to the hit-and-run investigation.
Murder charges were added later after a school resource officer obtained the video and turned it into police. But the passenger who recorded it all was MIA until Tuesday when he was arrested. In a press conference, Clark County District Attorney Steve Wolfson spoke about the crime and the arrests.
In the criminal justice system, if you are a minor and you are eligible to be charged with the crime of murder, you are automatically sent to the adult system. I am confident that that is what is going to happen in this case.
It's what Probst's daughter and family say they're now hoping for after their loved one was taken from them senselessly.
Andy's life was robbed by two individuals who did not believe that lives of others matter.
Now, Clark County District Attorney Steve Wolfson says he believes both teens will be charged as adults in this case. Reporting in Northwest Las Vegas, I'm Melissa Bethencourt.
Shoot. Don't tell me. Okay, there we go. Oh, first off, I want to thank Melissa Betancourt for the report and Vinnie Politan for the coverage. The article goes into a little more detail, courtesy of the Associated Press. 2 teenagers face murder charges for targeting a bicyclist in Las Vegas and capturing on video the moment they drove into the man as he pedaled along the side of a road. Las Vegas police said they have tied the teens to at least 3 hit-and-run incidents on the morning of August 14th. They believe the death of 64-year-old Andreas Rene Probst, a former police chief in Bell, California, was the final one. Video shot from the front passenger seat shows the vehicle approaching Probst from behind, while he was riding near the curb on an otherwise traffic-free road. As those in the car laugh, the vehicle steers toward Probst and then rams the bicycle, sending Probst hurtling onto the hood and into the windshield. A final image from the moving car shows Probst on the ground next to the curb. Deputy Police Chief Nick Faris called the recording from inside a stolen vehicle appalling and a cowardly act. I tend to agree. Clark County District Attorney Steve Wolfson said he has taken a personal interest in the case and vowed to charge both teens as adults. Until then, he said they wouldn't be identified. Hang on to your hats, folks. Justice will be served in this case, Wolfson said. At a press conference, Taylor Probst described her father, known as Andy, as a man of honor and integrity who worked for more than 35 years in law enforcement. We are devastated by the senseless murder of Andy, she said. Andy's life was robbed by 2 individuals who did not believe that lives of others matter. The 17-year-old driver was arrested on the day of the crashes on traffic charges related to the fatal hit and run. Police said that they initially weren't aware of the video until weeks later when a school resource officer provided it to investigators, leading to a murder charge for the driver and prompting a police search for the passenger in the video. The second teen was arrested that Tuesday. According to police, the vehicular crimes began just before dawn when the teenager struck a 72-year-old bicyclist before driving off and crashing into a Toyota Corolla. The driver wasn't injured in the crash, police said. They didn't detail what injuries, if any, the bicyclist suffered. Shortly after striking the Toyota, the teenagers drove into Probst as he rode his bicycle in a designated bike lane. They took off while laughing, said Faris, the deputy chief said, leaving him for dead on the side of the road. Now, I had so much to say about it, but then I caught this courtesy of Inside Edition. Let's just say one of those 2 teenagers thought he was cocky. Thought he had his thing had it made in the shade. He thought he was gonna be in and out just like that. Oh boy. My dad would always say, think long, think wrong. That young man thought long, and you're about to see in just a Oh, you can't see me? I fell off. Okay. Oh, Eddie, what's good, man? Good to see you. All right, let me go ahead and once again, no, once again, drop in this fair use disclaimer, and there we go. This is where, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, this is where my dad's great piece of advice would come in about think long, think wrong. Watch this.
Jesus Ayala.
This teen apparently expected a slap on the wrist for his alleged role in mowing down a 64-year-old retired man who was out on his morning bike ride. I'll be out in 30 days, I'll bet you, 18-year-old Jesus Ayala reportedly told cops when he was arrested. It's just hit and run, slap on the wrist. He apparently expected to be treated as a juvenile. Instead, he's getting a rude awakening, finding himself here, being tried in adult court. Prosecutors say Ayala and his 16-year-old buddy, Jasmir Keys, recorded the cold-blooded act that was posted online. Meanwhile, the family of the dead cyclist, Andreas Probst, is speaking out.
Andy's life was robbed by two individuals who did not believe that lives of others matter.
Probst was a retired police chief from a small town in California. He rode his bike every morning to stay in shape.
His death should be treated in the same way he lived, with honor and integrity.
My thanks to Inside Edition. You guys thought you're gonna get a slap on the wrist. You thought, oh, it's just hit and run. I'll be out in 30 days, no problem. Yeah, right. You actually killed somebody. So, yeah, your time's coming. Right now, we are in the thick of a civil trial. First time we've covered one of those here at BETHEA'S BYTE Reloaded, or I think anywhere within the true crime community. This is the KOWALSKI family versus Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital. This is taking place in St. Petersburg, Florida. A civil trial in Florida is underway as a family fights a hospital whose actions, they say, led to a mother's suicide. Maya Kowalski, whose story has been viewed by millions in the Netflix documentary Take Care of Maya, took the stand briefly on Tuesday outside of the jury's presence to authenticate a letter she wrote to her family while she was separated from them. Jack Kowalski, on behalf of his children, Maya and Kyle, and the estate of his late wife, Beata, filed the lawsuit against Johns Hopkins All Children's Medical Center, which treated his children beginning in 2015. Kowalski said the hospital's treatment and accusations of child abuse against Beata led her to take her own life in January 2017. Opening statements in the case began September 21st, with the prosecution accusing the hospital of medical malpractice, battery, Maya's false imprisonment, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and alleged fraud. The attorney representing the hospital said in his opening statement that actions taken by Johns Hopkins were reasonable and in the best interest of the patient. While the lawsuit was initially filed against multiple people, an 8th amended complaint filed on January 24th of 2023 listed only the hospital and Catherine Betty, a social worker, as defendants. the following Monday, after a jury selection had started, removed Betty as a defendant. According to the lawsuit, Maya was initially admitted to Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital in July of 2015 for a severe asthma attack and began experiencing severe pain and significant weakness. In September of 2015, Maya was diagnosed with complex regional pain syndrome, a neuropathic disease generally caused by damage to or malfunction of the central nervous system. According to the suit, to treat the diagnosis, Maya was given ketamine infusion treatments, which caused her symptoms to steadily improve. In August 2016, Maya began to experience abdominal pain and vomiting. She was taken back to All Children's Medical Center for treatment. Beata was with her daughter and asked for Maya to be given the appropriate dosages of pain medications she needed. Upon information and belief, certain hospital personnel, despite their unfamiliarity with treating CRPS and despite Dr. Hannah's corroboration of Beata and Jack's relaying of the recommended CRPS treatments, became offended and defensive by the suggestions given by the mother, a registered IV nurse, and father, a retired Chicago firefighter. Almost immediately, defendants, especially Deborah Hanson, a social worker employed by the hospital, reported Beata to the DCF Child Abuse Hotline, claiming Beata was interfering with Maya's treatment and there was a disagreement about dosage of ketamine. According to the lawsuit, despite DCF finding valid prescriptions for the doses of ketamine on file and the hospital being told to close the investigation, the hospital then tried to fight Jack and Beata when they tried to remove Maya from the hospital. At that point, the suit alleges, the hospital brought in Dr. Sally Smith, who was introduced as a pediatrician, but was in fact the hospital's director of child abuse and was improperly granted access to Maya's medical record in order to build a case of child abuse against the family. Upon information and belief, Dr. Smith directly and or indirectly issued orders to hospital physicians and staff, such as isolating Maya, covertly surveilling Maya by video for a period of approximately 48 hours, ordering a regimen of physical therapy, issuing directions to wean Maya off pain medications, and placing restrictions on the Kowalski's visitation rights within the hospital. The lawsuit accuses the hospital of working with its staff to imprison Maya without legal justification and barring her family from visiting. The resulting prolonged separation from their suffering daughter manifested in Beata's depression, fatigue, and overwhelming sense of hopelessness. Despite specific and documented warning signs, the hospital and Dr. Smith continued a campaign of degradation and threats toward the Kowalskis, and specifically Beata. A hospital spokesperson gave the following statement to Court TV. Our priority at Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital is always the safety and privacy of our patients and their families. And we are vigorously defending against the false allegations made in the suit. Our first responsibility is always to the child brought to us for care. And we stand behind our staff's compassionate care. Our staff are required by law to notify Florida's Department of Children and Families if they suspect abuse or neglect. It is DCF and not a judge, not Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital, that investigates the situation and makes the ultimate decision about what course of action is in the best interest of the child. We look forward to demonstrating to the court and jury that all the appropriate and legally required processes were followed by our staff. As I mentioned earlier, the emotional case has already been the subject of a Netflix documentary, Take Care of Maya, which was viewed more than 10 million times within a month of its release. This case is ongoing, so we'll continue. I'll continue to follow this and keep you updated as to how this case pans out. And keep this in mind: unlike a criminal case in which one side has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt, it has to be proven. This case has to be proven by what is called a preponderance of the evidence. For all of you football fans, I'm gonna use this term, right? Your team is got the ball on the 50-yard line, right? It's 4th and 1. You got to get to the other team. You got to get to the other team's 49-yard line for that first down, and establish your team's offense on the on your opponent's side of the field. That's how much of a difference that's gonna make. So like I said, we'll keep you updated. Speaking of updates, we are in the midst of a verdict watch. As we're talking right now, a California jury is deliberating over the guilt or innocence of Garrett Pursehouse. Pursehouse is accused of murdering known Hollywood sex and marriage therapist Dr. Amy Harvick. And if I can pull this down a little bit further, I can go ahead and give you the details of this whole entire case. Here we go. A jury is deliberating the fate of a California Pursehouse is charged with murder and burglary in the death of Dr. Amy Harvick, a popular marriage and sex therapist. Pursehouse, like Carrie, was a former boyfriend of Harvick's. Los Angeles County prosecutors allege that Pursehouse was waiting for Harvick when she returned to her Hollywood Hills home after a night out with friends for a Valentine's Day burlesque show in 2020. Harvick's roommate, Michael Herman, awoke around 1 a.m. February 15th to the sounds of a violent struggle in her third-floor bedroom. Herman told police that he could not find his phone, so he scaled a courtyard wall and ran to a neighboring home for help. When police officers arrived, they found Harvick lying on the ground 20 feet below her bedroom balcony. She was rushed to a hospital where she died. Harvick's autopsy showed evidence of manual strangulation, but the county medical examiner determined she died of blunt force injuries to the head and torso. Friends immediately suspected Pursehouse, with whom Harvick had ended a relationship in 2012. Harvick had accused him of physical abuse, and Pursehouse had been the subject of 2 restraining orders, according to court documents obtained by Court TV. Friends said Harvick was able to avoid Pursehouse, a photographer, for 8 years, but in January 2020, about 2 weeks before her slaying, she ran into him at an adult film industry gala. At that meeting, witness Pursehouse accused Harvick of ruining his life. He was arrested for her murder the day she died. Pursehouse was initially released on a $2 million bond, but he was taken into custody again a few days later on a no bail warrant. He has remained in the Los Angeles County Jail awaiting trial at that time. So they've gone through all the testimony. We've had the opening and closing arguments from both sides, and now the jury is deliberating. And I believe that it is now the end of day, and they're going to pick up deliberation tomorrow. When we get a verdict in this case, I will make sure it is posted to the community page. If I have to make a video regarding this, I will do so. But you will get complete coverage of that verdict when it's reached. One last thing before I get out of here. This was breaking news earlier on TV. The remains of missing mother Suzanne Morphew has been found. Instead of me going straight to the article, I'll bring the video to you once more with the fair use disclaimer. All right.
They were discovered 5 days ago, and they have been confirmed. Remains have been discovered. They were discovered 5 days ago, and they have been confirmed to belong to Suzanne Morphew. Now, Suzanne Morphew went missing on Mother's Day 3 years ago. Morphew's husband, Barry, was once charged with the murder, but those charges were dropped as he was preparing to go to trial. Now, at that time, prosecutors said they would wait until they found Suzanne's remains. Authorities are not releasing details of where Suzanne's remains were found or what condition they may be in. Now, they say they were investigating another case when they found the remains 5 days ago. DNA testing confirmed they do belong to Suzanne.
The Chaffee County Sheriff's Office released this statement. While this case has garnered attention from around the world, it has touched our community and the Sheriff's Office deeply. We have never stopped our investigation and will continue to follow all leads in pursuit of justice for Suzanne.
All right, very, very, very big news.
Yeah.
The husband has all along denied his involvement.
Yeah, and now
There's
they
little
have the
bits and pieces
body.
of evidence. They were waiting because there was a lot of snow in that area, waiting for it to melt. And obviously they turned it up here in a different investigation.
Well, that's ironic to me,
Yeah.
right? A different investigation, but they did find her remains.
Yeah.
Huge news for this case.
Yeah, and I wonder what they'll be able to find out from those remains. All right. Remain.
First off, I want to thank Court TV anchors Michael Ayala and Judge Ashley Wilcott for that for that piece of breaking news, and like my wife said in the background, that's crazy. It's crazy, but the only good thing about this is that one suspect has been cleared, and that's the husband. That's always good news. I'm gonna keep watch on this as I have other cases, and I will be sure to bring you updates, and hopefully we'll get to a trial, get to a verdict. We'll put the right person behind bars. Oh man, I put it on the ticker, and I almost forgot about this one myself. Where is it? Yeah, there it is. All right. I'm going to hook you guys up one more time. One more video. One more update. The case that got me right into the true crime community has got an update right now, in which Timothy Ferreter, has decided to reject a plea deal and take his chances in court for the child abuse case brought upon him and his wife, who are both being tried separately for abusing their now 14-year-old adopted son. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take you right to Court TV for this update.
There it is. This case, unreal. This is a family, beautiful neighborhood, $1 million home, but in the garage they put a little addition. It was a room, a square room, a box, if you would, that had a bed in it, a camera, and a bucket. And the allegations are that's where they kept an adopted teenage boy. In the box in the garage. Everyone else is in the house. Beautiful house, beautiful pool, the whole thing down in Palm Beach County. Michael Ayala has the latest on the case against Timothy Ferreter.
Tim and Tracy Ferreter were arrested in February of 2022. The parents of 4 were charged with aggravated child abuse and false imprisonment of their 14-year-old adopted son.
On the single-car garage was where there was a room built in there.
The Ferreters are accused of physically abusing their child and forcing him to live in an 8x8 box they had custom built in their garage.
He asked me to build a box, basically, and he asked me on top of that to build a ceiling for that box. He asked me to add a deadlock to the door.
A month before the Ferreters were arrested, their contractor, who was told he was building an office, tipped off the police that something wasn't right.
He asked me to reverse the locks. On my way home with my employee, something felt wrong to me, and the only reason I could come up with is that it's not an office, and this place is made to lock a person inside.
On January 28, 2022, Tracy Ferreter called 911 to report her son had run away. Police soon discovered the strange room in the garage. She told police several stories: that it was built to be an office, that it was used for storage, and that it was a timeout spot for the missing boy, who she said suffered from behavioral issues. But surveillance video showed the child was forced to stay in there up to 18 hours a day. Police found the boy at his middle school a day later. He told them his parents were abusive and violent towards him. And he told the police about the box-like room he had to stay in with nothing in it but a mattress and a bucket. His siblings confirmed his allegations.
I do have available to testify via Zoom. We're providing her depo, and just for the record, she is a minor, and so she should be referred not by her name or to FF.
Prosecutors allege the Ferreters had been physically abusing and confining their son since 2017. The couple says the reason they locked him in the room was because he suffers from reactive attachment disorder, which causes him to lash out. And they say they never abused him.
We don't know if the child is being honest with us. There is a history in this case of him being dishonest with the police.
Tim Ferreter's case was severed from his wife's after his attorneys argued her inconsistent statements to the police could hurt his chances of a fair trial. They are being tried separately, and both face up to 30 years in prison.
All right, jury selection begins on Friday, folks. Florida versus Timothy Ferreter, accused of building this box and putting his adopted teenage son in it. So why are they having jury selection on Friday? Because of what happened today. The case could have been resolved today. He was in court via Zoom and offered a plea deal. 24 months. That's 2 years. 24-month deal. Turned it down, now facing over 30 years in prison. Let's bring back in our think tank, Renee Hill, Mike Schaefer, and Brian Silber. Brian, I know it's difficult for someone who's a first-timer, right? Doesn't have the long...
Wait, I'm stopping the video right here. Now, I'm no I'm no legal expert, but I'm weighing this. You take a plea deal, you're out, that says you're out in 2 years. You'll probably get out about a good year and a quarter, year and a half. Or you take your chances in court. You're found guilty by the 12 in the box, and the chances of you being sentenced to a good portion of your life in prison looks outstanding. You could see 30 years behind bars, 30 years, 2 years. The only way I can see you taking your chances like that, you have got to be able to prove that you had nothing to do with that child's abuse. So, Tim Ferritter, all I can say is good luck with that. If it were me, though, and this is just me talking, if it were me, I'd do the 2 years. That deal is so good. I believe they call that a sweetheart deal. That's one that's not going to come back. But you know the saying, you made your bed, now you're going to lie in it. Oh, and don't worry, Tracy. You're next. Right after they're done with Tim, you're next. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for me and all these updates. I want to thank you for watching. I want to thank you for your patience with me and my slow computer. But you guys are what keeps this thing going. So from the bottom of my heart, as always, thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's do this again come next time, same place. Until then, I love each and every last one of you. Take that love, spread it around. Be good to yourself, be good to others, be kind to yourself, be kind to others. That way we come right back here. We look at some more cases involving true crime, all right? Until then, you know how to follow me on social media, Facebook, X, here on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and by email. So until we meet again, you guys know what to do. Bite this. Hey guys, this is the Last Outlaw saying thank you to all who have watched and subscribed to BETHEA'S BYTE Reloaded, your true crime and drama-free destination. I couldn't do this without you. Did you enjoy this video? Are you looking to get more information about what you have seen and heard here? Are you looking to give feedback as to how I can present this better? Here's what you do. Like this video. The more eyes on it, the more this information gets spread to others, which makes it a step closer to justice served. Share this to your social media. Again, with more eyes on this, the closer we get to seeing justice served. Drop me a comment. Whether it's on the topic or the presentation, I will respond to your theories and ideas. If you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit the subscribe button to show your support for this little true crime engine, powered by you. Set your notifications to all for future videos. Be sure to follow BETHEA'S BYTE Reloaded all over social media. At Bethea's Byte Reloaded True Crime on Facebook. At EKB316 on X, formerly known as Twitter. At Bethea's Byte Reloaded on YouTube. At EKB316 on Instagram. At King of Hearts 316 2021 on TikTok. You can email me at kingofhearts316_09 at outlook.com. This is your home for news without the drama, your opinions, lively debates, your voice heard, and above all else, justice served. This is Bethea's Byte, and it's reloaded.